Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday if you're watching this on Tuesday. Happy Wednesday if you're watching this on a Wednesday. If you haven't heard, or if you've been living under a rock, or have just been flat out avoiding this circus, the Department of Justice has once again graced us with their latest Epstein update yesterday. And spoiler alert, it's less of a smoking gun and more smoking pile of garbage. So strap in, friend. Um, I mean, is it a big reveal or is it not? Yeah, it's not a big reveal. I'm gonna save you the the suspense here, but it is a big reveal in the sense of how stupid they think the general public is. Um, so let's just get into it. I mean, the DOJ claimed they have uncovered 10 hours of video footage related to Epstein's incarceration, supposedly packed with clues onto what happened in his final days. And they're presenting it like it's that secret dossier that all those Republican influencers were waving around. I remember, I think it was a few weeks ago. No, not a few weeks ago. A few months ago. All those Republican fucking influencers were waving around like it was a phone book or something. Turns out it might as well have been a phone book in there, judging by what we got today. Um, but, I mean, let's just back up for a second. I mean, it's basically what we heard back in 2019. We're investigating. We have new leads. Now, suddenly, because AI is so good these days, apparently that same malfunctioning camera has crystal clear footage. It's like it was found out of your broken iPhone or something. 5 years too late. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in the day when this first broke, they said the cameras were broken that one night. Now all of a sudden, they're working again. And it kind of reminds me of the whole Ghislaine Maxwell um, trial, just because of how stupid this is. If you remember, around Epstein's death, it was discovered that this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, was assisting him in his ring of evil. I'll leave it at that, just because of YouTube's demonetization. I think you can gather what I'm getting at. Now, after what was released yesterday, the message seems clear. Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for no reason because the DOJ is basically saying now that Epstein trafficked no one. He trafficked no one to no one, and he has no client list. They explicitly said there is no client list. He acted alone. He did it just for the love of the game, just for the vibes. To be quite honest, he did it just for the vibes. And that Ghislaine Maxwell is basically in jail for no reason, even though she was his right hand man in trafficking everyone. Um, which raises the big question, like, what in the world did Maxwell do? She organized hotel rooms. She staffed the plane. If there were no clients, then who is she doing all this for? Well, I think the answer is very clear. I think the answer is ghosts. Clearly, Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking these young people to ghosts. I think it was very obvious that you know Ebenezer Scrooge was there. I believe he was on one of the lists that was declassified before they said there was no list. The Ghost of Christmas Past, he was involved in that. The Headless Horseman, Davy Jones, a lot of ghoulish non-entities, which is why they're kind of saying that he trafficked them to no one, because in a sense that it is kind of true. Um, but anyway, let's get serious for a second. I also want to talk about, just because of the insanity of this whole situation, I kind of want to recap everything that had to go wrong or had to go right in this whole situation with Epstein. I mean, if you remember, he was in this prison in New York City. I believe it's called MCC. Um, and it was the first suicide reported in that prison in 21 years. It was 2 decades of spotless security and surveillance, and then suddenly our VIP New York financier checks in, and he dies, and the cameras go down, and the guards were asleep. That's what they also told us. The guards were asleep. Um, don't forget that this prison has, housed some of the meanest and most horrible prisoners known to man. El Chapo, who needs no introduction, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, Bernie Madoff, who is, less scary in the physical sense, more so in the economic sense. But yeah, the most high profile, dangerous, scummy piece of garbage criminals in the world. And all of them have lived to stand trial when being in that prison, except Epstein. I also kind of want to talk about the gap in footage. So as I was saying earlier, they released a 10-hour footage, so-called alleged footage of his cell, and there is a infamous 1-minute gap that Twitter users immediately spotted as soon as they dropped this. Um, it's sorry, not 2 minute, 1-minute gap. Just gone. It just cuts, vanished. Some might call it a dramatic, little convenient mess up, but those 60 seconds you would think are rather important. But everyone was like, "Hey, what's the deal? Why is there a minute list missing?" And nobody really gave a crap, which I find kind of funny in a morbid way. It's not to mention that AI is so powerful nowadays that there's a great chance that this video is fully made up and just fully fake. Just a big old, smoke and mirrors made by AI, but we would never know. And I want everybody to keep in mind all of the politicians on the right and the left and people like Kash Patel, who months ago were spouting, we have to see what's in the Epstein files. We have to see what's in the Epstein files. And then Kash Patel goes on Joe Rogan and is like, well, actually, there's nothing there. He actually killed himself. There's nothing there. Nothing happened. And we're just supposed to believe that. These people are bad. They're not good. I wouldn't be the biggest fan of them if I were an everyday citizen, which I am. All of this craziness is pretty hilarious. But also, let's remember who actually paid the price for this. Jeffrey Epstein, of course. So let's not joke about this too much. He did suspend himself for no reason because he had nothing to get away. He had nothing to fear. He got away. Not got away. He was innocent, and he offed himself. And this just tells you how real the male mental health crisis is in the world. We have to think about the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world and how this affects them. How spewing false client lists and spewing, false trafficking rings, how that can hurt someone and how that can really hurt a young, or rather aged, actually, New York financier's feelings. And I want you guys to walk away with that. I want you guys to walk away with how that makes New York financiers feel. And people like Jeffrey Epstein, they're the ones that get the short end of the stick. Obviously, kidding, I'm joking. It was a joke. That was a joke. Obviously, you guys know who the real victims are. It's the women. Ghislaine Maxwell is... I'm kidding, it's another joke. It's another joke. Obviously, all the women involved, it's absolutely horrible. But I kind of just want to bring you guys this little hilarious bit of news. Um, but obviously, stay woke, as they say. Nobody really says that. But yeah, we're still waiting for real justice. All we got was a high-resolution AI video, questionable missing minutes, you know, White House photo ops, scapegoats in jail, um, and yeah, I don't really have much else to add to that. But I mean, if you want to do some of your own digging, I'd highly recommend um, doing that and finding out for yourself. I'll link some Twitter threads as well as include some of the videos from this. But yeah, anyways, have a great time, guys. Um, remember, don't get involved in whatever Jeffy and Jizzy got involved in. Anyways, adios. If you like this, subscribe, like, whatever you want. And yeah, adios.